Hey everyone, welcome to episode 246 of the Hit Zen podcast. Today's a massive episode. We're joined by our great buddy, Snake Sabo from Skid Row. Snake drops by and spends almost 90 minutes with us talking all things Skid Row. We talk about the current day situation with looking for a singer, but we also go all the way back 30 years to what is my favorite Skid Row record, Subhuman Race. Very difficult time in the band's career, and Snake does not hold anything back. He's so honest with what was going on at that time. A few things might surprise you, so make sure you follow it all the way through to the end. You also get some special guests on this episode. Snake's dog Potato and my dog Lola clearly wanted to be involved, and you'll hear them throughout. Um, so much fun with Snake. He's always a great hang. And hopefully we hear more from the Skid Row camp very soon. Until then, strap yourselves in. It's a great one. Make sure you are liking and subscribing and following Here Zen and doing all those things because it helps us get more guests and bring you more cool content. And we have a lot coming down the pipe, let me tell you. Make sure you hit notification bells to get updates. We really appreciate you being here. We appreciate Snake's time. It's a cracking episode. Please go all the way through to the end. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on your streaming services, we're so thankful. We love you all, and we hope that you love this chat as much as we enjoyed doing it. Snake, thank you for your time. Always a great, great hang. Everyone, Snake Sabo, Skid Row, turn it up. Thanks for watching and listening.
That's great. Good for him,
Welcome.
man. That's
How
great.
is life in Team Skid Row?
Slow. I mean, this search for the right guy to front the band is, it's taken some time, but we knew that it would. And it's just there's a lot of talented people out there, man. There really, really is a lot of talented people. Um, and we were lucky enough to jam with a lot of them. It's just that they got to be that right person, and we've been close a couple times, and it's just one of those things where um, you don't want to. You don't want to. I mean, how can I put this? You just want to make sure that the person that you're gonna ask to be a part of the band is that you can. It's not just the hour and a half or 2 hours on stage. It's the rest of the day as well, and traveling together and tour buses and airplanes and stuff like that. All that stuff has to work. And I know it's tough to tell from just like an audition, whatever, but we spent some time with these people as well. And um, you know what I gotta say, man, there hasn't been one person that we've gotten together with that hasn't been a really, really good person.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that's been really inspiring. Um, but sometimes things just, it's not all the way there. It just
Yep.
doesn't, we haven't had that moment where we go, okay, like this is it. And through the stages of our existence, we have had those moments and where we've, gotten certain people in the band um, and some of it lasted a long time, some of it didn't.
Yep.
But we've been here, and we know that it'll work out. We'll get through it, and and then we'll move forward. That's all we could
Yep.
do is move forward. But no one in the band is, we're not panicking or anything like that. We're all really eager to play and go out and tour and to continue writing more music and making more records and stuff. But obviously this is a really important decision, and um, So we're, obviously taking our time with it.
Yeah. Well, as someone
uh,
that's lucky enough that I've been sort of behind closed doors on a couple of the last tours here to Australia, there's a dynamic to Skid Row that goes beyond the stage. So I understand the ability to hang is just as important as the ability to sing.
yeah, I think, I mean, look, we have that relationship with our crew guys as well. So it's
Yep.
like when people come, that's why we've always said that, people don't work for us, they work with us. And because that's just the type of vibe that we have, where it's not employer employee relationship or anything like
Yeah.
that. And you know, I some people might think that's great. Some people business wise might think that's a mistake. It's just the way it works best for us. We like to have a familial vibe out there. And so we've been lucky enough to just work with a lot of great people and you know not only sharing the experience of performing, but hanging out with each other, going to dinners, going out to clubs, going out to other shows, hanging out on days off and stuff like that. I think it's just those relationships are really important.
Yep.
And that stuff carries into the show. It's all a part of the life that you're living out there. Um, there it because I guess for us, obviously it is a business and
Yep.
everything, but I guess to us it's much more than that. It's about the life experience as well,
Yep.
and that those experiences that you have with people that you are fond of and that you love spending time with and seeing the world and different cultures and different audiences and whatnot. Uh, those things are invaluable. They enhance your life in a positive way, and that's one of the aspects I love about this band is that we always put an emphasis on the experience of positive, having a positive environment uh, and a joyous, you know, uh, outfit
Yep.
that we are all participating in. I think it's really important that you know you get to smile and laugh and you know you do this for all the right reasons and we've always had that sort of mentality and I've said this 1,000 times, but at the very beginning when Rachel and I were putting this together, we always said that when it's not fun, we'll either walk away or we'll change
Yep.
things to make it fun again. And that's what we've done, and for better or for worse. Um, a lot of people who are maybe more focused on the business aspect of stuff, say, I don't know how smart that is. But again, I'm here to enjoy life, man. It's not all business.
Well,
And if it is all business, part of our business is being able to, uh, really appreciate and enjoy your surroundings and the people that you're sharing your space with uh, and the friendships and the relationships that you're building.
yeah.
So maybe we do it differently than other people. And, there's always those people who will sit there and say, oh, if you don't get along with certain people, you can travel in different buses and this and that. And I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like at the end of the day, you're always going to have the talk about your original singer, but Matt Fallon's fucking gone.
You've been holding that one in for a while, haven't you?
I got a couple. I did it to Scotty too. But okay, you talk about business, and it is a music business.
Yeah.
But if you weren't good at business, you wouldn't have been able to take a year off now. You would have just found someone or got Lizzie to fill in on more shows and hit the road. So you're obviously doing well for business because you can take the time to do this right.
Well, I mean, we've always attempted to be, uh, you know, smart with whatever, money that we've been able to make and stuff like that. And sometimes, you succeed. Sometimes, you're always going to make mistakes, and you just hope that you learn and correct those mistakes and don't continually, trip over the same pothole.
Yeah.
But you know, we've been. I mean, look, this business that we're in is it's very humbling, and it should be humbling, especially if you are lucky enough to achieve any modicum of success whatsoever.
Yeah.
I am, and we are eternally grateful for every bit of success we've had. Uh, Extremely humbled by it. Never ever once took it for granted. Realized what a gift it is.
Yeah.
Uh, to be able to be a part of something that people um, can relate to emotionally, and it becomes a part of their being.
Yeah.
And there was never once in our careers where we sat there and we wrote a song for the specific purpose of attempting to get on the radio
Yeah.
or anything like that. It was always writing songs that meant something to us. And it's selfish, and it should be. You have to be uh, truthful and genuine to your own spirit and your own being. And then if that is the basis of how you're creating, then all you could do is hope that that is good enough to make people want to listen. Um, but it's got to start from a very selfish angle. It's got to start from a point of view that you can't be writing for the sake of greed or notoriety or celebrity. I mean, I think that when you're starting out, everybody wants to achieve that.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is playing music that you love. And if people will pick up on that immediately. And the music has to come from a space of honesty and truth, and it can't be contrived. And
Yeah.
so it's never been like that with us. And so for us, any success that we've been able to have throughout the years, and just the fact that we've been able to survive as long as we have, again, the gratitude that we have is immeasurable, and the the humility that we have towards that again is something that will never ever go away. You know, I remember us all being of the same sort of mindset long, many, 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 many years ago when we first started that. Man, if we could play music for a living, how great would that be? That we
Yeah.
could play music for a living. And it's true. We
Yeah.
play music for a living. And so, I look at life and everything that's occurred with us, all the good, all the bad, as just a gift. And, being where I am right now and where we are, look, we're in a situation where we're facing a dilemma,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
How many if that's the biggest dilemma that we have to face in life, then we've got a really, really fortunate life,
Yeah.
because we are very, very well aware that what we might be going through as a band right now is minuscule compared to what so many people have to go through every day.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're lucky.
And look, you are going through a lot, and I want to touch on the band going through a lot, but 30 years ago. So it's Subhuman Race. So to go in context, I saw you on your first Australian tour. I was living in Sydney, born in Sydney, so I went to the Sydney show. It stands out as the first ever time you attempted to play Get the Fuck Out live because you'd just written it
We
on a
just wrote it on
plane,
the plane. Yeah.
and it was a bit of a mess, and that's what
Oh
made it
yeah.
fun. And it was just,
Yeah.
you know, it sounded like a punk song with a lot of bad language at the time, which was great for a 14-year-old kid. I then saw you open for Guns
Yep.
in '93 in stupid, like, 100-degree temperature, pressed against a
It was
barricade.
insane. And with Rose Tattoo, right?
Yeah, and angry in a white leather jumpsuit. Let's not go there.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah, let's just say it was not fitting. Um,
Ha!
and then I think about this period. There's this period in music for, I'm going to call it glam hair, classic rock, whatever you want, 92 to 95, where a lot of bands were seen to jump the shark. Um, you had Motley coming out with the Karabi album, again, my favorite Motley album of all time. Extreme doing Three Sides, my favorite Extreme album. Kiss doing Carnival of Souls, funnily enough, my favorite non-makeup Kiss album, and you guys doing Subhuman Race, which is still my favorite Skid Row album. Um,
Wow.
Now, at the time, I actually went back over the last couple of days and I found some old Metal Edge scans online. Like, and there was a piece that was done that Jerry Miller went and visited you guys, and it's clear things aren't really going well just by that interview. The fact that Rachel wasn't even, he wanted to be interviewed separately. So, like,
I forgot about that.
I think about you guys being the core dynamic, you and Rachel. Were you and Rachel even not getting on then?
No, 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 no. No. All it was I think we weren't seeing things the same way. But there was never any animosity or anything like that between the two of us ever.
Right.
I mean, the same thing we've had. That's not to say that we haven't had arguments. We have, but any people who are in a family together are going to have arguments. That's just the way that it is. And so, uh, I think he saw, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think that he felt that that record, the whole process of making that record was not an enjoyable one for him at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think for a lot of people, there was a lot of it that was not enjoyable for me. But to be honest, there was some of it that was.
Yeah.
So I think we all saw it from very different perspectives. Um, and I guess that's just where a lot of that has to do with what we had been through together up until that point, and how we were all definitely moving in different directions as people as we were growing. And that was hard to see this separation occurring. Um,
Yeah. Was the first
and
was the first record that you didn't do with Michael Wagner, and then you also made it in Canada. So like, and it was Canada in winter.
well, it's weird. Like I loved Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
always have. Um, I personally uh, think very highly of Bob Rock.
Yep.
I always have. I knew him for quite a few years before we did that record together. I think I was the only one who had a relationship with him in the band. Uh, I know that certain people didn't see eye to eye with him um, on the way that the record was progressing and how the songs were being manipulated, if you will.
Yep.
Um, and so there was definitely a difference of opinions, and also a different viewpoints on what we thought that record should be.
Yeah.
And so I think every record you do, there is some sort of compromise involved along the way. I think that record, the compromises that were made out of sheer exhaustion,
Yeah.
more so than an understanding of where another perspective was coming from. It was a different emotion attached to it than before.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's a dead giveaway when again that article gives so much insight because there was a question asked about one of the songs, and Rachel literally goes, "The main problem is someone tries to fuck with my lyrics, and you never should fuck with someone's lyrics."
Good point.
And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like,
Well, the only people like we had never been through that before with an outside person. When Rachel and I would write songs together, um, there are definitely times where and we work on everything together. We work on the riffs, the melodies, the lyrics. We do this together. He is the predominant lyricist. He's a better lyricist than me.
mhm,
But we go back and forth with these ideas. But if there's something that he's really, really passionate about, a particular lyric, and also a particular chord progression, a particular melody, if he's really, really passionate about it, and I don't agree with it, but I see how much he believes in it,
yep,
I will absolutely acquiesce
yep,
and and go, you know what? You are so you believe in this so much that how can I sit there and I don't want to
yeah,
stunt that, if you will. And conversely, the same thing with me. There's been stuff where I've brought in, and he's like, I don't know about this, I don't know about, and I'll be like, dude, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. And he's like, okay, and that's the respect that we have for one
yeah,
another. Now, that's something that's been built over an awfully long period of time.
yep,
For someone else who's an outsider to come in, and I'm not referring to any one particular person,
yep,
but for an outsider to come in and start saying, this lyric sucks or that lyric, it's like, those are fighting words, man.
mhm,
Now, you have, there's artists out there who don't put such an emphasis or aren't so attached to their lyrics.
yep,
Um, and they're cool with, oh, okay, let's just change this completely or whatever.
yeah,
Um, with us, we especially at that time, emotions were running really, really high. So I think that things tended to be amplified emotionally.
right.
And so anything that might have come up might have been loomed larger than maybe it would have given it another period of time in the band's history.
Well, you can tell you were going through a lot. You even gave your drummer co-writes.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. And the thing is, like for me, when I go back and listen to it, so I listened to it again literally yesterday from top to bottom. Um, there's just some really great. They're not just songs. There's great stories on Subhuman Race. Like for me,
I
breaking down your soul, that's you, 100%
right,
all the way through, no co-write,
right, right.
and it's actually in my top three Skid Row songs of all time.
Wow, that's very
It's
kind. Thank
it's
you.
that Ghost has always stood the test of time
Yeah, I love that song.
and wasted time.
I love that song too.
Yeah,
I love that
it's
song. Like and maybe I again, perspective and where you're standing at that particular place in time, you know? Um, Everybody has a different viewpoint
Yeah,
from where they may be in their lives at that particular time, and that might be influencing the how you're feeling towards your livelihood. It can make a huge difference. And so I think that, you know, where I was standing and where each individual was standing were we were not in the same vicinity.
yep,
We were definitely in different places, and uh you know, the fact that that record even got done is a miracle.
yeah,
Uh, but I like a lot of the record personally.
yeah,
Like I look back on it and a lot of the experiences I didn't like, but musically and stuff, there's a lot that I like about it.
yeah. Like when you were here, so when you were last here, when we were in that holding pattern at the Brisbane show, and not sure if it was going to go ahead or not, and you guys did the sound check. You were line checking your stuff, and I stood in front of Scotty, and I just said the same thing over and over again. Play Eileen, play Eileen, play Eileen. Can you tell everyone the story about that song? Because it's actually got a really good story about someone in your neighborhood, I believe.
It was someone in our neighborhood, well, my neighborhood growing up, and her name was Peggy, and she had mental health issues, pretty severe. And I don't know what the story with her family was, but she lived one street over from where I grew up at. And kind of diagonally across the street, it was one of those old school street lights, um, kind of hung over like and had an arc to it
Yeah,
and on a wooden telephone pole. And um, it was it would be really creepy when you look out. Like I used to, the top floor of my mom's house used to have a clear view across at that telephone pole and street light. And all of a sudden, every once in a while, there's just this very frail, obviously troubled young woman, very frail, um, having conversations with herself underneath this streetlight. And it wasn't terrifying, but it was disturbing and it was sad. And so I again, I started seeing this when I was in my teens,
yeah,
and it happened for probably a little bit longer than 10 years, and then we never saw her again.
right.
Uh, for whatever reason. And I never, like I said, I never knew her family, but I was always like, why is she out at midnight? She's obviously troubled and needs help, and we just didn't know what to think. But it left a very deep impression. And I remember one night, you know, the first time Rachel was hanging out at my mom's house, and we were upstairs, and I'm going, you know, I told him the
Yeah,
story, and he saw her. He's like, "Holy, that's wild," because it's surreal.
yeah,
You know, we're just in this little shit neighborhood. You know, I mean, in Sayreville, New Jersey, and you know, at that time we were probably 21, 20, you know, 21 years old, and this is this poor girl who's, you know, her she had to be quite a few years older than us. And you
yeah,
just, you know, we're talking, this is like, you know, the second half of the 80s. And so when it comes to mental wellness and mental illness, Nobody knows anything about it.
No.
And people don't want to know about it. You know, people are more than willing to, the medical industry is more than willing to devote tons and tons of money to, cancer research and things that are tangible, things that you could see, touch, feel, well,
Yep.
see and touch, and it becomes more real that way. But for years, up until maybe 20 years ago, not even, people finally started taking it seriously as this is a very much a physiological, real illness. It's as real as a COVID or and as serious, um, even more serious probably. It's right alongside uh, cancer, and it kills people.
Yep.
And people just they didn't understand that. We were raised in a generation where we were taught that you don't get depressed. Oh, what do you got to be depressed about?
Yep.
Get over it. It's like, I, well, let me go back to the first question. What have I got to be depressed about? I don't know. I
That's
just
why I'm
am.
depressed because I don't have the
I
answer.
don't know why I feel this way, but I feel terrible. I feel like the world is crumbling around me. I feel unhappy, extremely unhappy, and I don't know why. I don't, it's not about a pity party. It's not about anything other than this is what's going on inside of me. And I don't have any answers because I'm a freaking kid who wants to play guitar. I'm not a doctor. I don't know any, that's the funny thing is that we were told to solve this problem on our own because no one wants to deal with mental issues like you know, there was a lot of different harsh descriptions. So
Yep.
people would get, psychotic, crazy, blah, 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 blah. No one wants to talk about crazy Uncle Snake. You just want to push it to the side and it doesn't exist.
Yep.
And as a young person, you're supposed to sit there and know the answers to the most complex organ in the human body.
Yep.
We're supposed to know as individuals without the help of medicine, modern medicine, research, development. We're supposed to know the answers. That used to drive me insane. Literally.
We don't come
How
with a user manual.
I so I going back to to Peggy, who we renamed Eileen. It would just work better in the song,
Yep.
uh, from a lyrical standpoint. Here was this poor soul going through something that was again sad and disturbing, and at like and having these arguments, like doing this, and she just with herself. And again, I no answers. No answers. I know, her family didn't have any answers, and somehow she's wandering around this little neighborhood on her own at, midnight on a weeknight and, yelling at herself, and her clothes are falling off of her because she's so emaciated. And what do? You don't know what to do. You call the cops, they don't know what to do. They're like, oh, Peggy. Yeah, we know all about Peggy.
Mm.
Okay. No place to get help. Hospital isn't going to take her. They don't know what to do. There's no medicine to give her. What do you do?
Yep.
Electroshock therapy, lobotomy. That was it. That was the options.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, that's a whole nother subject matter that is very I'm very sensitive to it because I have my own mental wellness issues that I've gone through since I was a young guy, preteen. you know, you know, 10, 11 years old. And so it was always very, very frustrating for me personally to obviously see that, but also know that in silence, I was going through stuff of my own
Yeah.
that I had no answers for. I couldn't solve. And I'm one of those guys who always wants to know why. You know, why this? Why that? Why am I playing these notes for a G chord?
Yep.
Well, these are the three notes that make up a G chord. Okay, thank you. That
Yep.
makes sense now. Uh, and but from a mental illness or mental wellness perspective, I was absolutely lost.
Yeah.
And anybody who I would talk to, counselors through school, they did their best, but they didn't have any answers. Their answers were the obvious, look how beautiful the world is around you. I mean, yeah, I see it all. I see it all.
Yeah.
You're right. But guess what? There's something going on in here
Yeah. Yeah.
that,
The world is beautiful here, but I'm living here.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I can't turn a switch off.
Yep.
And so as years go on, it slowly gets worse and worse.
Yep.
And luckily, people started paying attention. You know, my heart breaks for, you know, uh, our people who served in our military who came back from whatever battles they were fighting and were suffering from PTSD, what they used to call shell shock.
Yep.
Um, and they had no resources whatsoever, none. These guys ended up on the street. It's one of the main causes of our homeless issue is the fact that these children, if you will, these young adults would get sent off to witness this horrible, horrible, horrible atrocities and come home and the world is like, all right, yeah,
Yep.
you're home. It must be great. And people are like, I,
Yeah.
I can't even process what I just saw and
Yep.
been through.
And then they're expected just to go get a real job.
Excuse me. Yeah, I find it. It's absolutely embarrassing and reprehensible that all the people who made the decisions for that sort of those actions and that caused all these people the mental anguish uh, that all those people that made those decisions weren't people that experienced it. They were people who had a different agenda.
I'm going to ask, is Breaking Down basically about the band breaking down?
No, no, it's not. Uh, man, I, th- I remember I was sitting alone in my my TV room at my house. I was by myself completely. I've always had guitars in all the rooms in my wherever I lived, and
Yep.
so I, I had a guitar nearby, and I forget what movie I was watching, but it was a movie that was uh some sort of there it was. I wish I could remember what it was, but it was sad. It was a sad movie, and I started making believe that I was writing. a song for this movie,
Right.
but I could relate to all the feelings that were going on there. They were uh everything that I was watching on the screen was hitting me really hard. Um and it was like they were like it was touching upon open wounds. That's what it felt like.
Right.
And so, you have those moments. It's the most beautiful thing about being able to, participate in writing songs is that you're 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 helping to create something from nothing.
Yeah.
And it really is about you're kind of like a portal of some sort.
Yeah.
Like that day, the window happened to be open
Yeah.
and I was receptive to what was coming through.
And the fact that you
Uh,
went to a movie is even better.
yeah, right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
The irony. But the thing was, is that it just, I was watching something and it was hitting me hard, and the guitar was there, and I just started scribbling and finding the chords and stuff, and I was like, man, this is like really personal, and I didn't want to play it for anybody. And it didn't get played for anybody until we were in Vancouver doing the record. And we were all in a room going through all the songs that we were working on. And the way Bob worked was we all had amps and our instruments set up, headphones on, a microphone in front of us, and we sit kind of in a circle and okay, here's the ideas, and this is what these are the songs that we got. So we got through all of that and worked on everything, and then a few more than a few days into it, I think Bob just went, okay, you guys got anything else? And no one said anything, and I said, well, I got something, and I don't know.
Right.
And I go, I don't know. I go, it's okay. Um, because it was really personal and I didn't really feel confident enough to present it to anybody.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
and I think the fear of being mocked or laughed or, rejected, not in a malicious way,
Yeah.
just, you know, it's
When
I
something's
think,
so personal, it's really hard to take that first step.
yeah, you're so fearful of rejection. And at that point, I had been going through so much with my mental health that um, I had no confidence whatsoever, and I was definitely on shaky ground, and I started playing it. I was playing it very tentatively, and when I'm singing it into the mic, and I've got a terrible voice, and I'm just, you know. And everyone's can't make of it. But Bob, to his credit,
Yeah.
he understood, uh, and he was like, "Okay, okay," and we started working on it as a band and putting the pieces together. And the only thing that was really changed, if anything, was there was the solo section, which was basically the chords to the chorus, but starting on the second chord of the chorus. So there's four chords. So
Yeah.
instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going 2, 3, 4, 1.
Right.
That that's the solo section. So that was really the only thing, and uh, just some of the dynamics as far as how it when we start with just something light and then how we would bring it up for the chorus and stuff like
I
that.
actually
But
love the very end too has a very country twang to it, which I think actually adds so much more to the song.
um, Scotty Hill's solo is one of my favorites of Scotty's. He uses a B bender on it,
Right.
and he had just gotten it, I believe, and he had been fucking around with it, and so uh, it was one of those things where, like, dude, this is first of all, this is definitely a solo you should be doing, not me,
Yeah.
and as with every song we've ever played as Skid Row, we've never ever had an argument over who's doing the solo. The song always dictated it. It was very strange how it worked.
And I love, you can actually tell when you watch Skid Row live that there was no, there's never been a, like you watch live, you go, you can tell there's never been a, this is my solo, this is your solo, because especially when you get to the interplay that you like to do during monkey business,
Right.
you're basically watching two mates fuck with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what you
Without a
can
doubt.
tell. You can tell that
Yeah.
when you guys have recorded solos, it's just like, dude, you got that one. You're cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah,
We've never, and there was never, again, never ever one argument. There's never been any ego involved ever. And look, we all have egos. You're in a band, you have an ego. It's just it comes with the territory. How you manage that ego is a different story
yeah,
completely. But uh, the thing with the solos was there was only one song where we were mistaken who should do the solo. And ironically, it was Rattlesnake Shake.
right.
And Scotty was originally doing the solo, and he's like, it just doesn't work. I'm not, it's not me, it's
Mm-hmm.
you. And that was the only one. Every other song, we'd sit
Wow.
there and look and go, that feels like you, or I think this is me, and they, we've been very fortunate like that.
Has he sent
And
you one of his Deadeye pedals yet?
oh, I have one of the ones before he even started doing all the proper paint jobs on him and stuff
Right.
like that. I have one. It's great. It's I guess one of the first 10 that he ever made. An overdrive pedal. It's great, and it's written in like handwritten in paint. Like Snake's Overdrive.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's one of those gifts that I have that I'll never get rid of it. It just is too special to me, and I'll never, you know, try to
Unless
sell it or
unless
anything
you
like
fuck with him, Scotty, then it's gone on reverb.
that. Exactly.
Now, you guys toured for quite a long time on Subhuman. And again, I went digging. It's really good to just dig, and you can see the band is not happy on stage. Like
Yeah,
it's really evident.
it was really it was rough. There was a lot of we were all getting pulled in different directions. There was a lot of people who didn't want to be there. There were a lot of people who wanted to be there, but not in those conditions. Uh,
And no singer should wear short shorts on stage. Let's just never see that again.
I agree.
Yeah,
Um,
I look at the fact of no offense, but you look like you could be either on stage or just going to the mall, just like jeans, really downplay.
yeah,
Scotty looks like he should.
yeah,
Scotty looks like he could be mowing his garden after the gig, and
yeah,
Rachel would probably prefer to be behind the amps.
yeah. I mean, I think that's all accurate and fair. Uh, it was definitely, I don't want to say that we had given up
Yeah.
on each other.
Yep.
I just think that it felt like there was no stopping the inevitable.
Where it was evident to me is so if you look at the home videos before where you're out with Pantera and you're jamming and you're all on stage together. I went on Setlist FM. I'm like, really? Skid Row played Parasite on the Subhuman Race tour in Brazil? Click. There's only one member of Skid Row on stage. And I was like, I've seen all I need to see for unhappiness right
Yeah.
now. Click.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That's
really, and like that was over 100 dates you guys did. The,
Yeah, I think that though that is really again, I think that's indicative of where we were emotionally. We were going in five different
yeah,
directions. I think we were being because deep in your heart, you want it to work.
yeah,
You want to play these songs. You want to play in front of people. But you just don't want to be on stage with those people at that particular time in your life.
yeah. We,
And
we
so
always
you,
have the one co-worker we don't want to sit next to at work.
yeah, but I think that maybe at that time, no one wanted to be on stage with anybody.
Yeah,
And it felt like there were definitely times, and I'll speak just for myself. I don't want to speak for anybody else, where I felt like I was being disingenuous.
okay,
Um, I felt that, I would start out with high hopes before every show in my own brain, even though I was going, I was going through my own personal shit. I'm sure everybody was.
yeah.
Um, and I but I had this thing that okay, this will be the show. And then by the end of the show, you're like, fucking sucked, just the experience. Not that we sucked. I thought that there was certain times where we just really played great, probably out of anger. Um,
There's a pro shot from Japan that shows that
yeah.
it's pretty vicious.
And I think that, I mean, anger is a powerful emotion, man.
Yeah,
And if you can channel it the right way, sometimes it's a beautiful thing. But to have that on a daily basis. And I don't want to make it more dramatic than it was at that particular time, but it was pretty drama. There was a lot of drama,
yeah.
and we just we didn't want to be around each other anymore. I there when we finally finished, I think we finished in August of '96 in South America. Um, there were no goodbyes.
It was just
It
split.
was everybody just went their different directions. And I think that probably was the happiest everybody was on tour
Yeah,
because again, we were all getting away from one another. Um, and there was no hiding that there. And me personally, I was brokenhearted because my ego was such that I can fix this. I know
yeah.
I can help fix this in some way. And I couldn't. And so it broke my heart, man. Broke
It,
my fuck.
and look, it's been really well documented what happened from there. I'm not going to go there because you guys made the right choice in not opening for Kiss.
That was one of the things that Rachel and that was a decision that we didn't have. I mean, we talked about it and we both were like, talk about being disingenuous
Hmm.
in our home state. in front of the band that we absolutely adore, that we
Yeah.
love, that they're the reason why. I mean, I know a lot of people thought we were crazy and probably still do,
Mm.
but to do that for one show, to go up there and make believe, I and to
What?
it's interesting because you know Kiss was the band that I believe that out of any bands, we probably all had Kiss in common more so than any other band.
Yeah.
And I know for me, they had the biggest impact on me in me choosing music as my life.
They are
And so,
literally why I take photos, dude.
yeah, well, there you go. And so, when Rachel and I were talking about this, we're like, huh. I mean, your whole life, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be able to open up for Kiss? Like it's
Yeah.
the most amazing thing in the world. So to turn that down, what people need to know, if they don't, you need to know how that wasn't done out of spite by any stretch of the imagination. That was done out of the fact that I couldn't, in good conscience, go up there and lie and fake it
Yeah.
uh, in front of my heroes, in front of my my hometown, state, whatever you want to call it. I couldn't do it.
And it was never
Neither
ever
could
to
Rachel.
never ever to do with Skid Row is too big to be an opening band, as has been thrown out in the
Oh God,
press.
no, man. That's the funniest thing in a sad way that I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Because if
such a crock of shit. I forgot about that. That's right.
it's still happening now.
It's such a crock of shit. The fact that anyone would invent that in their twisted brain is I don't know. It's not even funny. It's just
It just shows why you're doing what you're doing now.
yeah, there's no truth to it at
Yeah.
all. It was
And
never about.
and look, you went on to open for Kiss with Ozone Monday. You went out with Singo. Um, I got to see you actually on that run in your cast. The world famous Snake Slips in a Pile of Puke tour. Yep.
Yep. Always good for a story.
What stays in Vegas went back on tour in a cast.
Unbelievable.
But that's
Yep.
the thing, like you even did some end of the road shows with them, so it's never been about opening. Um,
Oh
you know,
God, no.
and
It
I
was
think
about not to interrupt you, but
yeah,
that was man, no, it was so difficult. Like I definitely wept over the fact of saying no. Like the fact that we had this incredible offering and because of circumstances and the fact that at that particular point in our band's life that it felt so awful that again it would be disingenuous, it'd be a lie. And I mean, I look back on it now and I honestly, I wish it wasn't like that,
mm,
but I can't say I regret it because the same, I would have felt the same way,
yeah,
about being disingenuous. And I don't, I wouldn't have been able to walk off that stage or walk on that stage feeling great. I mean, the whole idea about this whole thing is that you love the whole the whole experience, the songs, the playing, the people that you're playing with. And again, there's a lot of bands that can go out there and they take separate buses and they don't
Yep.
talk to one another. And God
Well,
bless them. I don't begrudge them at all. We're just not one of those bands.
well, think about how disingenuous Kiss ended up being on the farewell tour. Like,
Well, again, for me, I don't judge anybody only because I know that we we make decisions that are different from what other people might do. Definitely different than what people suggest.
yeah,
Um, and so everybody's situation is their own, and um, I only think that I can be a part of and to help, to help control, to help guide along with my fellow band members is Skid Row. So, um, what Kiss or anybody choose to do, they have their own personal reasons for,
exactly.
and I don't begrudge anybody for the decisions that they make for their own business. It is what it is for them. Um, I don't get the luxury of being able to walk in those shoes every day of the year,
Yep,
and I don't know. So, the only thing I can concern myself with is what we do.
yep,
And I hope that we always work towards doing the right thing from from a standpoint of, just being honest and, being genuine and, you know, true to ourselves.
yep. Now, talking about being honest, we're going to move forward from the Subhuman Race era to Revolutions Per Minute has just been re-released. Now, I've got to say, Snake seems missing on this album.
Snake was missing on that album.
Yeah,
I would, dog. I again going through a bad period. Hey, my dog's name is Potato.
brilliant. Mine's Lola.
Potato. So come here, baby. He doesn't care.
No, they don't give a
He looks at me
flying.
like, shut up, dude. I'm barking at somebody. I man, it's a that part of my life is a blur, to be honest with you. I was in no mental capacity to really contribute
Yeah.
to creatively to that record. And I feel terrible about that. Um,
You had lots of guys sort of jumping in. You took some time off the road as well, didn't you? Around that time,
I did.
yeah.
I
So
did.
yeah, Kerry Kelly and people like that.
Yeah, I did. I was not I was not in good form, that's for sure. But the one good thing, and it was I was working with Down and you know helping to manage them, and that was a just a great, and it has been a great experience, and it helped me out from a again from a mental health standpoint. It helped me out tremendously to be able to be a part of that and to do that. But from from like a Skid Row standpoint, I was not in any sort of um, creative state where I could have been a positive influence or um, or anything in being able to help Skid Row make a, a good or great record. I wasn't capable of it at that time, and it's one, a lot of people say they have no regrets in life and stuff. I do. That's one of them. I wish that I was in a better space,
Hmm.
uh, because I feel like, as one of the guys who started the band with Rachel, I feel that I let everybody down, and
There are some
I
great
have to live with
moments on
that.
it, though. There's some great moments on that album. Don't get me wrong, I love.
I don't. This is not a judgment
Yeah,
call on that at all. It's more about um, my disappearance, really.
yeah. I
My
would
not
actually
being.
love to hear you guys re-record the album.
I'm sorry.
I'd love to hear you guys re-record it.
That would be really interesting.
So I think Nothing is one of the
It's a
greatest
really
Skid
good
Row
song.
songs.
Yeah,
Greatest.
it's a really good song.
Yeah.
Really good song.
And
I think that for me, again, I was at that point, I was so detached,
yeah,
and I wanted, don't get me wrong, I wanted to be with my brothers, man. I wanted to, I was just, I was not there. And I regret that, because I know I let them down. I shouldn't even say I think I did. I know I did. And I I wish there was something that I could do to make up for that, but it's the past is the past. I can't
yeah,
change it. I just have to, make sure it never happens again.
yeah. Well, the one thing that came from that lineup is you came back here for the first time since '93. So you came here, I think it was 2008. That was with Dave Gara and Singo playing.
Right.
Um, and that's the first time our paths crossed, because not only did I shoot the show, but you proceeded to get me fucking hammered after the show. I'll have to send you the photos. There's two photos. So I started with you at the start of the room and we took a photo. And then as the night went on, you come back in the final photo, you can see it in both our
Oh,
eyes. It was
I don't that look. It
priceless.
happens to me. It happens to me every time I go there.
Yeah. I don't drink. So the only two people have ever got me drunk in my life, and you're one of them. The other one was Lemmy.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, shit.
You're in good company.
Oh my God, you kidding me?
He got me hammered. Then I had to go take photos of Uriah Heep at a meet and greet. And the last ever photo is of me mounting a couch with Uriah Heep in front of me, looking fucking scared.
Oh, that's great,
Actually,
man. Wow.
at the same venue
Ah,
that you played at.
I love that.
Yeah. So like the thing I loved about that show is not only Skid Row back in Australia, but that lineup with Dave and Singo was actually a really fucking good lineup.
Oh, thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
Dave
I
added a bit of a punk element to some Skid Row songs.
Yeah, I mean, look, it I have some very fond memories. Um the time that we didn't spend that much time with Dave, a sweetheart of a person. Um it just, as far as playing, like, the whole of Skid Row's catalog, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Some stuff didn't work for him.
Yeah.
Some stuff was great, but some stuff just it didn't work. So it was it was inevitable when things changed. But that's not to say that I had some great times with him.
Yeah.
And Johnny too, Johnny Singo was, he had so many good qualities to him as
Yeah.
well. And just, not a bad bone in his body, man. And what happened to him was a sin.
Yeah.
And you know what? We had a falling out for sure. He and I, and it sucked. It sucked because I don't think we ever got a chance to resolve it. And but I think that the if I look at everything as a whole, the 14 years that we spent together, so many more good times than bad.
Thick
So
Skin, dude. How great is that album?
I love that album. I love that album. I have great memories of that, of doing that record, of working on that record. I have some, there was a lot of things that were tough during that record too. Everything had changed. Uh, everything had changed for us. And so, uh, not being, not being, hogtied to the past was really imperative
Yep.
for us to be able to move forward. Um, and we were really aware that it was going to be a difficult road.
Yep.
Uh, we knew, and that's okay though. It's
Well,
okay.
then it led to where you are now. Like you had
Yeah,
ZP in the band for quite a while, and
yeah,
I love seeing ZP. But I think the clincher to Skid Row, besides the fact that you will need a singer at some point, is actually Rob. I
yeah.
think
Rob,
he,
he's great.
how will I refer to this as a very shitty drummer that I am? Um, I always think every drummer should have the Steve Adler sensibility and know when to just lay back. Rob has the Steve Adler sensibility.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I've told Rob 1,000 times that I've never ever, because within the band, I have a horrible reputation of being really terrible on drummers. Really, really critical, really, really like micromanaging, if you
Right.
will. And I'm sure that there's been a lot of times where they wanted to kill me, and I probably uh, took some of their fire away from them, maybe. I don't know. But I know that I've always had an issue with the drummers that have been in Skid Row on one level or another, only from a playing standpoint, only from going in, playing live or play it was and it was things like you just said. And I've told them 1,000 times, dude, I've never had an issue with the way you play because you play exactly how it feels to me. You
Yep.
sit on the ass end of things. Like you play that back, you hit the backbeat. And I go, I love that so much.
Yep.
I go, because just as a guitar player, that's how I play.
Yeah.
I play on the back end of stuff. Monkey business, the riff to that, that's on the back end. If that doesn't get played on the back end, it sounds stiff as shit. There's no soul to it. But if you play it on the back end, then all of a sudden it's got swing and it moves.
Yeah.
And that's what it's supposed to do, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
If you can't have the
song
swagger,
like,
go see Rush.
yeah. A song like the Gang's All Here, same thing.
Oh,
It's got to sit on the back end of it. And that, I sometimes you attempt to get that across to somebody, and you're not explaining it in the proper way or in a way that they can understand. It's with Rob, none of us ever had to explain really. It was the only time maybe as if we were hearing something else in a section.
Yeah.
And he'd always be like, "Are you here? Is this what you're feeling?" And play something. We go, "That's better than what I was feeling," you
Yeah.
know. And so, yeah, I've never had an issue with Rob from with his drumming at all. It's always been the way, he doesn't overplay, but
No.
if you need him to go nuts, he can go nuts.
Yep.
Uh, but he's like, a lot of guys are like glory hounds. They
Hmm.
want to shine on every song as opposed to having the song shine.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's all about the song, man.
He is.
He
Yeah.
he's all about the song, and he understands and I think that's what works so well because we all understand that it should always be about the song. It shouldn't be about one person's individual glory. And so that's what makes I think what helps to make a great song is when you've got, a group of people who are all on the same page with the same goal, working to create something that's special.
Yeah.
And, you know, uh, being able to play the fastest or sing the highest or the fastest double kick is great, but it's not going to make a song special. It might
Yeah.
make one little section of it special, but it won't make the song special.
That's why I can't
And,
handle double bass drummers because it sounds like elephant stampedes.
right. So for us, it's always been about, the song as a whole.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, to me, if that connects with people, it goes right back to the very beginning. Being able to express something that hopefully people will connect with, uh, and people can see through the bullshit.
Hmm.
And for better or for worse, our songs always came from a very genuine place.
Yeah.
There, we never bullshitted anybody. What we were writing has always been genuine. It was never forced. We were never coerced. And I think you need a hit song. Okay. I think you need a new suit.
Yeah.
What do we do? You know?
Exactly. Couple more things before I let you go. Um, ever plan to release the Ozone Monday stuff? Ever?
It's so funny. I have a friend out here in Long Island who's got all of the Ozone Monday stuff. I'm like, how did you get that? He goes, well, this person and this person. I'm like, wow. And so one night I was at his house and we listened to a bunch of. I go, man, it's like, it's not Skid Row, but it's cool. Like there's some really cool stuff there.
Yeah.
Um, it comes up every once in a while. So I hope someday that we do.
Yep.
Just to have it out there and see if people connect with it on some level or not.
Yep.
Um, but I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
I really, that was a really fun time. That was a really fun project to do. Uh,
I'd love to. I'd
because
love to hear it.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun, man. I have a lot of fond memories of that particular time period with, you know, doing that whole thing.
And for a little while back, 86, 87, there was a bit of entertainment around one John Corabi joining Skid Row.
Yeah, he
Did you,
wouldn't audition for us. He refused.
so you
He,
never even got in a room with him?
no, I was. It's funny. I was spending a lot of time in Philadelphia before we put Skid Row together, and so him, I met John through that drummer Johnny D,
Hmm.
whom I absolutely adore and love. He's just a great guy. So Johnny D and I were attempting to put a band together, and there was another one of our friends who actually initiated the whole thing. This guy, Jimmy DeLella, who used to play in Wasted. He was a keyboard guitar player with Pete Way and when Paul Chapman was playing. And I think what was his name, Finn, was singing there for a little while
Hmm.
in Wasted. And then Danny Vaughan came in and sang for a little while. Anyway, so we were attempting to put a band together. And Johnny D introduced me to John Corabi. And John was like, "Well, I'm gonna go to LA. Why don't we go to LA?" I'm like, "Nope, not doing it." So when we started putting Skid Row together, uh, I reached out to him, and he was doing the Scream, and he's like, "Nah, I got this thing, out here called the Scream." All right, cool, bud. All
Yep.
the best. No, didn't even get in a room. I couldn't even get him in a room.
Well, it might be for the best because he was going to get into a band and Gene Simmons wanted to change the name to Eight Ball. So, like, you avoided being in a band called Eight Ball at some point, probably too.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
Yeah. Like, you gotta love Gene's mentality. Oh, there's four guys and you've got two balls each. Yeah, you've been around him enough to know how serious he would have been when you said it too.
I love it. I mean, look, it's so bad that I love it.
Yep. He probably already has it trademarked.
Of course he does. And he should. Because at
Now,
some point,
oh, he'll
at
use
some
it.
point, the world is going to change and people are going to go, that's the greatest name since Kiss. And
Yep.
they're, and
And
he
he'll
owns the trademark.
he'll sell it to a Swedish company for millions of dollars.
Yep.
Hmm.
And
Now,
we'll all sit there and shake our heads, go, God damn, somehow he always pulls it off.
he always does. Now, as you said,
Yep.
you've got no time frame for a singer, but what about writing? Have you guys actually started woodshedding?
I mean, no. I know Rachel's written a bunch of stuff. I've written some things. I started uh I started taking guitar lessons again. Because I had hit a rut. I had plateaued and I couldn't get past a certain I was there was nothing, no forward movement at all. And it had been that way for a little while, and I was really discouraged and stuff. So I said, a guy would go down a YouTube rabbit hole every day, and I just wasn't being accountable to myself. So I just started taking lessons, and now I'm being held accountable by somebody,
Right.
and it's great. So it's opening me personally up, and so I'm starting to write some more stuff and starting to see guitar from a different standpoint again, which is great. Um, and but it's enjoyable. It's actually really, really cool to have this sort of time and space to be able to rediscover the guitar again from a different standpoint. I had some health things that were going on that were um, have affected my ability to play like the way I used to, and I had to have some surgery and stuff like that. So now I'm working on just getting these two things to work together again.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of relearning or re-manipulating going on. Uh, but I mean, it's all positive, it's all good, and it's all exciting and it's inspiring. So I think when we sit there and like Rachel and I look at each other and go, you know what? It's time. Let's start throwing a bunch of shit together. We'll we'll be very driven at that particular point, and we will be in the right space to put together another record.
Awesome, man. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for your patience in our animals talking to each other, tradesmen in the house. phone
Well, it's great
calls.
to see you again, man. I
I
appreciate
know.
your time. I apologize for the hiccup earlier today, but thanks for readjusting your schedule. I appreciate it very
Oh,
much.
good. Reach out if you need anything down here. I'm always here. I'll have to send you
Yeah.
the drunken photos. It's
Well,
they're
it's
messy.
funny. Yeah, I look forward to seeing that because those are the things that I get such a kick out of seeing that shit, man.
Yeah,
Like I went through my phone not too long ago, and there's pictures of me and Rachel from COVID. 'Cause we used to sit there and like all of a sudden it'd be like 5:30, and one of us would text the other one, "Shots?" With a question mark, and the next thing you know, we're like, okay, what are we doing? And he would say whatever, and then or I'd say whatever, and that we always made it a point that we had to take a picture of ourselves while we were doing the shot and
great.
send it to each other. And they're friggin' hilarious. Like at 5:30, we're like, and then at like 9:30, we're like, it's
I've actually
great.
one of the best ones on my phone is of you next to the snake encounter sign at the zoo. It's the
Yep,
best. I've got all of them.
I love it.
There's
I
so
love it.
many
I'm
great
glad that
photos of
you
that day.
do.
So
Glad
many.
that you do.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All the
Yeah,
best to you and your family. Good luck for your son's soccer tournament.
I'll
And
pass that on. He's probably just playing PlayStation right now. Clearly warming up.
as he should be.
Yes. All right, man. I'll talk to
All
you
right,
soon.
pal.
See you,
Take care
man.
of yourself, man. I'll see you soon.
See you, Snake. Bye.
Bye bye.